So meditation gives you dominion ultimately over your attention, which is so very necessary because many people's attention gets snagged by the world, snagged by social media, snagged by news reels, snagged by things in the world, and they don't have their own attention. Somebody else is governing their attention through provocation, through seduction, or intimidation. Those three things, provocation, seduction, intimidation, grab people's attention, and they lose their own attention. The art and science of meditation, you're able to hold your own attention. You can be aware of so many things, but it can't grab your attention unless you let it, unless you give it your attention. Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings to all of you, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind podcast. I am your host, Michael B. Beckwith, and I thank all of you for tuning in and subscribing. I just happened to notice yesterday that my podcast was rated very high in the spiritual awareness podcast of the world. And it just happened to pop up on my screen that many people are participating in this particular podcast. So if you're one of them, thank you very much for subscribing, and thank you very much for liking it, and thank you very much for telling your friends about it. Anyway, today is going to be a solo show because we received a lot of feedback about my Take Back Your Mind meditation segments. So many letters saying that you love those and that you have a lot of questions and that you want a longer segment on the podcast, that the 5 to 7 minutes just isn't enough for you. So today I'm going to answer some questions about meditation. I have them right here in my hand. And we're going to have a longer segment to practice the art and the science of meditation. And so the other thing I want you to know is that you can go to my personal website, michaelbeckwith.com, sign up for the mailing list, and you'll receive a free guided meditation entitled Raise Your Vibration and Be Untouchable. Now, all of this will be in the show notes anyway under this particular segment. So sit back, relax, and let's see what these questions bring us before we do our longer segment of the art and practice of meditation. Someone's just asking, what is meditation? What is the simple definition of meditation? So I define meditation as the undistractable attention to reality. What does that mean? Many people suffer from an attention deficit disorder. Many people suffer from an intention deficit disorder. Through the art and science of meditation, you learn to become inwardly rich enough and spacious enough to pay attention. There is a moment in meditation where you're having an insight, a revelation, where you go beyond time and space, and you're able to pay attention to this moment of reality hitting you until over a period of time, you're able to stabilize it and you're living in a higher frequency. So meditation is paying undistractable attention to that which is real. It also is paying attention to the thought forms, the sensations, the things that come up emotionally, mentally, physically. You're able to pay attention to these things that are occurring without resisting or trying to enhance them. So meditation gives you dominion ultimately over your attention, which is so very necessary because many people's attention gets snagged by the world, snagged by social media, snagged by news reels, snagged by things in the world, and they don't have their own attention. Somebody else is governing their attention through provocation, through seduction, or intimidation. Those three things, Provocation, seduction, intimidation grab people's attention, and they lose their own attention. The art and science of meditation, you're able to hold your own attention. You can be aware of so many things, but it can't grab your attention unless you let it, unless you give it your attention. So meditation is not about escaping life. It's not about escape. It's about being fully alive in life itself. The only thing you're escaping ultimately is a limited perception. Thoughts and beliefs determine your perception. Your perception determines your experience. Everyone is experiencing their own perception, you see. I have taught over the years that most people do not experience reality. They experience their thoughts about reality. Meditation begins to clear your perceptual windows, just like affirmative prayer does, so that you're having more and more of an encounter with that which is real rather than with your own beliefs. You look at social media, you look at all manner of things going on in that atmosphere, and you could actually see, if you just step back without judgment, you could actually see people are just playing around with their own perceptions of reality. They're not even saying anything, really. They're just speaking their own perceptions. And then people who are walking asleep get caught by other people's perceptions and start believing it. Meditation begins to free you from that such fodder, from such nonsense. You're preparing yourself for an encounter with reality. Reality is untouched by time, experience, perception, beliefs, or opinions. It's untouched by any of that. It is what it is. With meditation, you start to wake up to what is. So you're not escaping life, not running away from life. You're actually becoming spacious inside to have an encounter with life. And you're escaping from a limited perception about life. Somebody's asking about some of the benefits of meditation. I just mentioned expand spiritual perception, so you're seeing more clearly. It's beyond belief, beyond what you believe, until you have a direct encounter, which leads to an inner knowing, an inner revelation of truth. Beyond believing, you're actually beginning to know something. You may have heard the statement over the years that the map of something is not the territory. Many people have read books and they have a belief system that's kind of a map of spiritual growth, a belief in metaphysics or mysticism. But the map isn't the territory. The territory is the encounter within you. Meditation allows you to escape merely believing about something, to have an encounter until you embody it. There's an integration. You know it. And it doesn't matter what anyone believes. They can't shake it because what you've seen, you can't unsee it, you see. We're living in a day and a time, too, in which scientists have now discovered parts of the brain that are directly related to spiritual awakening. And so it used to be like woo-woo about a connection to the divine is now slowly becoming science. We live in some very beautiful times right now because of that. I mean, I didn't need any of that for myself. But many people are now are gravitating towards meditation because they're studying the scientific aspect of it, some of the things called benefits that you're asking about. So it expands your spiritual perception. It allows you to become spacious enough so that your heart, when we're talking about our heart chakra, talking about our spacious heart, we become spacious enough so that we become not only open-hearted, but we become receptive to an inner divine guidance. The broadcast of the eternal one, the divine presence, the living one, is always happening. Meditation allows you to be so inclined to catch the guidance that comes to you through direct knowing or intuition or an inner feeling. You're beginning to clear up your spiritual faculties. In other words, people have honed their five senses to live in 3D, but they haven't honed their spiritual faculties that allows you to live while you have a body in other dimensions as well. So you can begin to see differently. You begin to see that which is invisible to the senses, but visible to your spiritual faculties when they open up through meditation. So those are the spiritual benefits. You want to know what the emotional and mental benefits are? Reduced anxiousness and anxiety is one. Greater emotional resilience, clarity, creativity, decision-making. These are emotional and mental benefits. There's a clarity that begins to come because you're not gaining your information from your surface mind or from other people's opinions or turning on the news. You're getting it directly from source, you see. And then there's a connection to this source presence. And when there's a greater connection, there's reduced reactivity and there's reduced anxiety. Reactivity is when you have a very narrow perception and anything can trigger you because there's no spaciousness within you. There's only like unhealed traumas and inner dramas that you're seeing life through. So you react to things. But as spaciousness occurs and healing is revealed, you have choice. You have expanded awareness. There's less anxiousness, less anxiety. You're not living in an anxious future. Right here and right now, all is well. And you have a tendency to stay right here now and then carry the here and now into the next moment, into the next moment, to the next moment. So it has some very powerful benefits. Somebody's asking about the physical and health benefits. Balances the blood pressure and heart rate. Improves sleep and strengthens the immune system. Some people's immune system is overactive. Some people's immune system is underactive. Meditation becomes almost a panacea for the balancing of our immune system. It supports brain plasticity and longevity. A long time ago, there was a belief in the medical field that once you ruined or lost certain brain cells, they could never grow back. Now we know that's not true. Neuroplasticity, or neuro-regeneration, all of this is all part of science now, that through proper meditation and nutrition, you can regenerate brain cells. Isn't that a beautiful thing? 10, 20, 30 years ago, they just said it was kaput if you lost brain cells, that they wouldn't grow back or if there was some kind of damage. It's not true. So meditation greatly assists in the regeneration and the strengthening of the frontal cortex and the entire brain. Isn't that powerful? When you sit down, you can actually allow your brain to become younger, more vibrant through the art and the science of meditation. So though you're asking about the physical and health benefits, those are some of them. Now, you're also asking about these misconceptions. Here's a statement that's said a lot. I can't meditate because my mind is too busy. Well, this is such a crock, if I could use that word. This is why you meditate, not to unbusy your mind. But when you practice meditation, you become aware of the busyness of the mind. You become aware of what I call thinkingness, not thinking. Thinking and thinkingness are not the same thing. Thinkingness is just the chatter, the constant regurgitation of the same thoughts you have every single day. You have 80, 90, 100,000 thoughts every day, and more than 70% of them are the same thoughts that you had the day before, the day before, the day before. They're chronic. That's thinkingness. And so when you sit to meditate, you don't say, I can't meditate because my mind I have the monkey mind, or I'm thinking too much, or there's too many thoughts, there's too many opinions, there's too many conversations going on in my head. I can't stop it. It's not the point. You're not trying to calm that down either. In meditation, you establish a strong intention to wake up, and you observe all of that. Yes, I said that. You observe it. You observe the sensations emanating from the body temple. You observe the emotional content. You observe the inner chatter. And this is what happens. After a period of time, for some it's shorter than others, you start to have a realization that you are the onlooker. You're not the stuff passing through. You're not that chatter. You're not those thoughts that are arising from habit, previously held points of view, opinions. You're the awareness looking at the thoughts. So it doesn't matter whether your mind is busy. You can look at it with a sense of non-attachment, not trying to get rid of it, not trying to enhance it. You're watching. Now what happens? Many of you may have heard about what is called the observer effect. Scientists are doing research. They become aware that their beliefs, opinions, points of view, thoughts, expectations actually affect the outcome of the research. To shorten it to layman's terms, is everything you observe changes on a subatomic level just based on observation. That's revolutionary. That anything you observe is changing because you're observing it. We're all interconnected. So if you observe and expect something, you're looking for something, just your observation alone is changing the outcome. It's changing everything on a subatomic level. So what does this mean? I know what it is. When you're observing thinkingness, just your observation with intention begins to change those thought forms. You don't have to get rid of them. You just look at them. Let me break this down. A thought is a unit of mental energy. It's energy, you see. When you observe it, it changes. So when you observe it with intention, let's say your intention, you go into meditation, your intention is, I want to wake up from the intoxicated sleep of feeling that I'm separate from the divine, separate from life. And you begin to observe the stuff that seems to go on in your head. Just your observation changes it. And it begins to dissipate, disintegrate those thought forms. And they get to move to a higher frequency based on intention and observation. That's powerful. That's so powerful, you see. So I'm feeling these questions here. So no, meditation is not just for monks and yogis and religious people and ministers. And no. It's a universal practice, not just a religious obligation. Even though we have been greatly influenced by the East, India and Asia, who have a very Eastern way of living, Eastern point of view, to a large degree, more than the West. So meditation is more enculturated within the culture. Meditation is for everybody. It's for the business person. It's for the teacher. It's for the doctor. It's for the athlete. It's for the mom. It's for the dad. Meditation is for everybody, not just special people that are wearing robes or any kind of spiritual uniforms. No. It's a universal human practice, not just a religious obligation. You see. Someone is writing, I need silence or a special space. Listen, meditation can happen anywhere. Your breath is right here. You can be still. Be aware that the body's breathing. Let that be a talisman holding you in the present moment while you sit in meditation. Now, of course, in the beginning stages of meditation, and I'll get into this basically, I see some other questions about that. It's good to have it's maybe good to have like a quiet place, a place that you can go to where you're free from traffic and conversations and noise and things of that particular nature. But I'll tell you this, after a period of time, you have some embodiment of some insights and revelations about life. Nothing can disturb your meditation You don't need a quiet space. I'm not saying that's not good. Of course, it's good. If you can get a quiet space and burn a candle, have some incense, be in a nice spot that's really beautiful. It's feng shui exactly for your meditation. Yes, go for it. All I'm saying is, at a certain point, you can meditate anytime, anywhere. You can practice. Okay. So, if somebody wants to know, well, how do I start? For newcomers, how do I start? You're rewiring your mind, your nervous system. If it's difficult to say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to meditate for 33 minutes every day. Sometimes how you start is you choose a consistent time and place in your home, and maybe you start 5 or 10 minutes. And you don't say to yourself, I'm going to do this every day, because then the ego will rebel and say, I'm not doing this every day. Say, I'm doing it today. And every day you just do it today. And then you'll notice that you'll be able to do 10, 15, 22 minutes. You'll get to a nice sweet spot where you don't even really want to stop. So, start small. I didn't start small when I started my meditation practice, because my meditation practice emerged out of a very dramatic spiritual awakening a number of years ago. And so I was so prone to meditation at that time. I would meditate for hours. This lasted for a long time, for years. It was just hours of meditation. Anytime I had any free time, I'd meditate, because the connection and the communion with other teachers on the other side was very palpable and very real. And then little by little, I had to honor my human incarnation and be here with my body and be a beneficial presence on the planet. So the hours and hours and hours of meditation was actually now reserved for particular periods of time when I'm able to go on retreat and able to be in my house for a longer period of time and meditate. But now I meditate every day. But I don't do like 4 or 5 hours of meditation at one time, because I'm here at Agape spiritual community. I have meetings, I have classes to teach, I have Zooms to do, I have podcasts to do. There's things that I get to share, but I still have my meditation practice. So choose consistent time and place. This person wants to know. Start small, let it grow, and look at it like this. Look at it as if, call it here it is. Look at your meditation practice as a social contract. What is a social contract? We have a social contract that says, when you go to the restroom, you wash your hands before you come back out into public. You have a social contract that says, before you go out into the public, you clean up your body temple. You shower, you come out clean. You're not going to go 2 or 3, 4 days without bathing or showering. That's breaking a social contract, you see. And so I look at meditation as a social contract. It's something that came to me many years ago, that you don't want to go out into the public without having a few moments of sitting and recollecting yourself until you're feeling connected to the presence of intelligence, love, and beauty. Then you go out into the world. You don't want to go out into the world scattered and rushed, over your mind over busy. You don't want to go out into the world and meet people when you're still dealing with particular traumatic issues in your mind and something that happened to you when you're a kid, and now that person is then meeting all of this stuff. No, you're breaking a social contract. You haven't washed your hands. You haven't cleaned up your mental body. Why would you do that to people? Why would you go out in the world in a bad mood? Why would you do that? Why would you go out and vomit onto people? And you're not doing well. It's not good. So when you see the news and you see all manner of inhumanity and you're all upset, don't go out into the world. Center yourself. If you can't center yourself, you ask for help. You call somebody that can guide you back to your soulful connection to the divine. Then you go out better. So I have coined the word years ago, meditation is a social contract. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to go to a party and there's all these hors d'oeuvres. I'm not going to stick my hand in the nuts unless my hands are clean. And even then, you're going to pick up a fork or a spoon and kind of dip it into the bowl, you see? So don't go out into the world unless you've taken an inner shower, an inner bath. And some days are better than others. Okay? So, there are tools. See, people are asking about tools here. There's guided meditation, of course. There's breath awareness. There's mantra. There, obviously, what I just talked, observation. And there's even what we use on Agape's Way of Meditation service. We use the SOAK technology, SOAAK.com. 32 different frequencies that become like vibrational tuning forks that lift the vibration of your body. We're all vibrational beings, but these frequencies, they have some for health. They have one called mood support, and that people use for meditation. I'm not trying to sell you this or anything, but since I brought it up, you can just try it for 30 days for free if you want. You just go to soak.com, and when you check out, you just put Agape. And they'll give you 30 days for free. If you like it, you sign up. You don't like it, don't sign up. That'll help you with your the kind of music that it plays. It plays music, it plays nature sound, or it plays just a direct frequency. It's free for 30 days. You're choosing a consistent time and place to start, because what happens is you start to develop a habit. Your subconscious mind, when you start to walk towards your place of meditation, and at the same time, your subconscious likes become prepared for it. It's like you already start to settle into it even before you sit down. It's like when you start to salivate when you see the meal coming to you. You're not even hungry yet, totally, but all of a sudden you see the meal coming, and your mind starts to anticipate it, and the mind starts to anticipate it, and you start to salivate because the food is coming. The same kind of thing happens with meditation. It's a spiritual Pavlovian situation. You get ready to go to your spot to meditate, and suddenly one or two things happen. You start to be prepared to sit, or your mind goes crazy because the ego doesn't want you to sit. Just become aware of it and sit anyway. The main point here is you make it accessible and flexible. It's not rigid or intimidating, okay? Now here's what other questions here. Somebody says, am I doing meditation right? Remember, meditation, it's not about perfection, it's just about progress, okay? There's no perfect way. What you're seeking is an awareness of the presence that becomes very real to you. So there are many ways to meditate as there are people. But when your intention is right, you'll find the right way for you. I break meditation down into 3 modalities. Contemplative meditation, which you can take some spiritual piece of work and read it and contemplate it. Existential meditation is when you sit with the question, who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why am I? When am I? Where am I? And you sit with it, and the mind starts to peel away all the layers. And you bump into the awareness, oh my God, I'm the only me there will ever be. I'm right here at the center of the universe. Now, I can say those things to you, but it doesn't do you any good unless you actually sit and do existential meditation until the onion is peeled and you bump into a revelation as to who you are and what you are, which is a spiritual being having a human incarnation. So perfection isn't the goal. Waking up is the goal. Waking up and touching the presence is a goal. So we're not here to turn out like perfect meditators. We're here to use meditation as a way to wake up to who we are. People generally are sleepwalking in their thinkingness and their beliefs. So they're not having an encounter with reality, And it becomes easy because there are many people who belong to things. And then their mind is focused on the different principles of what they belong to. I belong to the Republican Party. I belong to the Democratic Party. I'm independent. I'm this, I'm that. I'm this, I'm that. And all that thises and thates can make you fall asleep and don't get beyond the this and the that into that which is real. Peace and blessings. I'm here with an invitation for you to join me December 29th through January the 2nd. It's our annual spiritual meditation retreat, and it's the first time in a while that we're actually back in person. You want to come and contemplate the divine within yourself. You know, there's so many things going on in the world right now, and there are individuals experiencing a level of anxiety or anxiousness about what's going on in the political scene, what's going on in the world. Meditation provides the context for you to have a real inner sense of peace, not a neglect about what's going on in the world, but a peace within yourself, that you can be open to wisdom and guidance and direction from your own soul as to how to move and navigate through the world as it appears to be. We're going to be at a beachfront retreat center in Costa Rica. Wonderful food, wonderful amenities. You're going to want to be there in this dynamic spiritual family that will emerge based around meditation, affirmative prayer, life visioning, yoga, and wonderful surprises, I'm sure. Come be with me December 29th through January 2nd. Register today. You're not going to regret it. You're going to give thanks to yourself for taking this bold step in your own transformation. Peace and blessings. So what else? What do I do with my thoughts? She's asking. You sit and you let them go and come like clouds. Just watch them. Your awareness is the sky, and the thoughts are the clouds. The clouds cannot offend the sky. They eventually dissipate. In your sky of mind, you watch the thoughts. And like clouds, they will dissipate eventually. This one person is asking, what if I fall asleep or feel bored? In the Zen technology, there are hundreds of what is called hindrances, that whenever you're in the process of making a breakthrough, the hindrances will arise to stop you from going into a new paradigm. Sleepiness is one of them. Boredom is one of them. Doubt is one of them. Those are three hindrances. Sometimes you get sleepy right when you're about to have a breakthrough because the ego is afraid you're going to go into the unknown and be different. I told people recently at Agape that when the ego comes up to thwart you, you say, thank you for keeping me safe, but I'm walking toward my destiny. You don't demonize the ego. The ego is just a set of outworn programs. They're just old programs, you see. You don't demonize it. You just say, oh, thank you for keeping me safe, but I'm walking towards my destiny. Keep on going, you see. And it's because the ego is going to send you boredom. It's going to send you doubt. It's going to send you sleepiness and drowsiness, fear, malicious thoughts. It sends a lot of things to keep you what? Small. But once you notice it, you could actually say, oh, wow, this is boredom. This is drowsiness. This is doubt. Ooh, you see. Once you identify it and you're looking at it without judgment, without trying to get rid of it, it starts to dissolve like a glacier before the sun, like an ice cube before the sun. It starts to dissolve. You say, ooh, that was doubt. Doubt arises when you're about to have an insight. You've had a moment of inspiration. Doubt will creep in. Oh, do I really believe that? That's not true. It's trying to keep you small. But once you see it, it starts to lose its power. You see? You identify, oh, there's doubt. There's sleepiness. Where is sleepiness? Is it in my eyes? Is it in my chest? Is it in my hands? Where is it? You start to identify it. It starts to lose its power unless you're really sleepy. Now, if you didn't get a good night's sleep, you might really be sleepy. But if, in fact, you did get a good night's sleep and you're sleepy, oftentimes a breakthrough is on the way and your ego is trying to stop it. Somebody's asking, how do I just go deeper? Now, obviously, there's the existential questions that I pose. That takes you into, first of all, I don't use the word deep. Why? Because there is no height nor depth in an omnipresence. In the quantum field, there's no height nor depth. In the universal mind of love, beauty, intelligence, the mind of God, there's no depth or height because the presence is everywhere. So there's no high, there's no left nor right, there's no up and down, there's no north or south. It's just what it is. The real question is, am I expanding my awareness of the omnipresence? Think of it like this. You have a nice house, and this house has different windows. There's a couple of windows that are upstairs. You can look out. There's a couple of windows downstairs. You can look out. There's a couple of windows that we might call at the rear of the house, and you can look out. And everyone's looking out their window. And they all think, as they're looking out this window, that what they're looking at is reality. They're not aware that they're only seeing what they can see from that vantage point, from that window. So everybody say, no, life is like this. And the other person says upstairs, no, it's like this. The other person's looking out the back window. No, life is like this. Now, they're not wrong. They're just limited. And so we don't talk about going deep or high. We talk about expanding awareness. You step outside of the house and you're able to do like a 360 view. Say, oh my God, this is what it looks like. Meditation when you have an insight, it expands your awareness. You don't go deep, you expand, you see. So I'm not prone to using the word deep. I use it sometime as a linguistic convenience because everybody uses the language, but it's more of an expansion. It's more like this. Here, this circle, this little circle right here is where a person may be living. Just right within this circle is their understanding of reality. And then they meditate and they have an insight. What happens? The circle spirals and is more expanded. Now they can see all of this. Before I was blind, now I see. They keep practicing, the circle gets wider. The spiral keeps expanding, and now they're seeing more and more of life. And they realize perhaps what they used to believe in this small circle, that was a superstition. Small circle, that was a myth. That was just an opinion. Ooh, I see. So we're seeking to expand our awareness, you see. And I'm here to tell you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Then you continue spiritual practice for what? To stabilize that insight so it doesn't become a memory. 20 years ago, I had this moment in which I was connected to the divine. It was so sweet. But you don't have it now. You got caught back up into the world. You keep your practice to stabilize the state of the expanded awareness via the insight that you had. So you ask empowering questions. There's also, I'm not going to go into it all right now, but there's also pranayama, breath retention. There's light visualization. There's sound-based attunement. I told you about soak, and there's others as well. And then, you practice. I used to do this years ago with Thich Nhat Hanh. I can remember I took a couple of retreats with Thich Nhat Hanh. It was way before he was like really famous. And so there would be maybe 30 of us there at a retreat center. And I'll always remember I was going to go be with him. I remember my daughter was maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8. I can't remember. But she still remembers this. And I said, I'm going away for the weekend. I'm going to be with Thich Nhat Hanh to the meditation retreat. She says, I want to go. And I said, Michaela, you want to go with me to a meditation retreat? She said, yes. I said, there's not going to be any talking. You can't talk there. She says, okay, I want to go. I took her with me. And I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Santa Barbara, I'm not mistaken. But it was a nice place. When we got there was a mix-up with my room because I'd already paid for it and said my daughter was coming with me, et cetera, et cetera. And so anyway, they fumbled around for a while, and finally they gave me my room. It's a nice, beautiful room, and had a bed for myself, bed for my daughter. And I found out later Thich Nhat Hanh had given up his room for me. I didn't know that. I just thought it was a really nice room. But I don't know what room he took, but because there was some kind of mix-up with my room, he gave me his room. I always just felt so honored, but also like it just taught me a lot that he would not fight for his room, but actually give a room to a guest. He didn't know me at the time. And so beautiful. We would do walking meditations. And that is, we would go into a particular state and we would walk, infusing every step with peace. We would like get into the state of peace and then walk, infusing peace everywhere we went. That's how you take your meditation off the mat. You can actually say, I have people do a certain practice. That is, when you're about to go into a room, maybe to a meeting, and you're going to open the door, you think to yourself, what quality do I want to meet when I walk into this room? And instead of going in there to meet it, you bring it. You actually close your eyes. You feel into peace or love or what it feels like to be supported. And then you walk in the room with the vibration. So you're making your meditation active and real. There used to be a poster when Thich Nhat Hanh would do his meditation retreats years ago, and you can see the group walking up the hill in a walking meditation. And then one person showed me that was me at the end of the line. I never knew it before on the poster, but I was at the end of the line walking in the meditation. Yeah, so that's how you deepen using this language. Or I can say that's how you expand. Walking meditation. Breathing meditation. With every breath, I breathe in love, breathe out joy. But again, I'm not taking the time now to go through all these practices, but I do have a meditation class in which I go through these. Somebody's asking, how does meditation support your visioning process? For those of you who know the visioning process, that's the step after visualization. It's when you ask a question. What is the vision for my life? What is the next stage of my unfoldment? What am I to give? But you actually have to go into a state of meditation and feeling that you're totally loved before you ask those questions. So meditation definitely supports your visioning process. It's a part of visioning process is a meditative technology. Somebody says, what happens? You let go of the goal of meditation, enter into pure essence. Well, that's kind of the purpose. It's not goal orientation. It's expanding, having an insight so that you become yourself. You become meditation. You become undistractable, attentiveness to that which is real. But you know what? I used to say years ago, and I'm saying it again, meditation is a lifelong companion. It becomes a friend. It becomes greater than the credit card. You don't leave home without it. You see, I used to have friends, and we would practice leaving our body. And then once we got out the body, we'd meditate without the body, so that we would learn how to meditate even as the body was sleeping, But it's a lifelong companion. It becomes very kind of not living without it. Something's missing if you don't have the practice. But there's no judgment if you fall down or if you miss a day or if you get hectic and then you catch yourself, oh my God, I didn't meditate. The old Zen statement is, if you find yourself too busy to meditate for an hour, you meditate 2 hours. If you're too busy, it means you really need more meditation, Anyway, don't take that on right now. But that is an old Buddhist Zen statement. Any other questions here? If it gets too busy, become aware of your breath. It becomes a reset. Somebody's asking me about what I meant by tuning fork. Meditation is kind of a tuning fork aligning you with the higher frequencies of life. With intention, inward awareness, you start to tune in to your intention, and it becomes a tuning fork for your day. And then you become a tuning fork for whoever you come in contact with, because we're all one. So thank you for tuning in, for asking these questions about meditation. We're going to actually meditate. Remember, you go to michaelbeckwith.com, go to the mailing list right now, and get my free guided meditation, Raise Your Vibration and Be Untouchable. The link will be in the show notes as well. So we're going to go into meditation. Remember that there's contemplative, existential, and pure spiritual meditation. Contemplative is you read something that inspires you before you go into meditation. Existential is you're asking empowering questions. Spiritual is you're establishing an intention to wake up, and instead of me explaining what it is, I'll explain it as we do it. Put your feet on the ground, unless you're in full lotus. Let's have our hands on our lap facing upward. That's a sign of receptivity. Thumb and forefinger touching. That's a mudra. Mudra that allowing us to transcend our surface mind or a sense of separation. Back is straight, but it's not rigid. It's just erect. Put a slight smile on your face because you love this. Now let's establish an intention together. I'll give you one. You can use it. You can use the intention, or you can edit it. I intend to wake up from the sleep of separation from the divine. I intend to wake up from the sleep of separation from the divine. I intend to wake up from this sleep of separation from the divine. This is my intention, and my intention is to wake up. So embrace this intention. Become aware of the intention and be aware of the feeling of that intention. How does it make you feel? Now, we have what is called simultaneous awareness. While you're aware of the feeling of your intention, you become aware of your attention. You become aware that you can place your attention anywhere you want. For a moment, place your attention on your left knee. Just notice that you can be aware without doing anything. You can be aware of your left knee. Bring your attention to your right hand. You're becoming aware that you can place your attention anywhere you want it. You're a sovereign being. Right now, place your attention on your intention. The feeling of that intention. Slowly bring your attention to the breath. The body is breathing. I didn't say you're breathing. The body is breathing. The body is breathing. The body is extracting nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen from the air, sustaining the life of the body temple. Notice your breath. The inhalation, the exhalation, the space in between. You can perhaps just be aware of the space right between your nostrils, right under your nose. Be aware of the breath. You're simultaneously being aware of your intention. So your attention is on your intention, and your attention is on the breath. You're entering into your fortress of solitude. And your attention is on your intention and breath. If there is a drift, bring the attention back to the breath and the feeling of your intention. Stillness, silence, sacred solitude. Intention, attention, breath. You're waking up. Where's your attention? Let it be on the breath. And your intention. If other things pop up, mentally, emotionally, physically, even sounds, they're in your field of awareness. You just witness them without calling them noise. Anything you observe changes on a subatomic level based on observation. You just look at what pops up without judgment. When you have a spiritual insight into reality, expand your perception. You see differently. Another couple of moments, pure silence, stillness, quietude, inner fortress of solitude. You're becoming free, spiritually liberated. Another moment, pure silence. You're activating dominion over your attention. Where's your attention? On your intention, on your breath. Continue with that smile on your face. Allow yourself to feel good for this moment of sitting in the silence, meditation, becoming sovereign, free, spiritually liberated. We give thanks for this and we allow it to be so. Amen. So every time you sit, you're preparing yourself for spiritual insight, but you're also clearing the dust away from your perception, meaning how we've been imprinted, how we perceive life. When we meditate, that which no longer serves us comes up, is bubbled up to the surface, and you watch it as it disappears. So you don't become dismayed if things come up emotionally or physically, there's itching or whatever the case may be. To the best of your ability, you just witness it without judgment. It'll eventually change. And you'll be more and more free with a greater sense of expanded awareness. So thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. So very happy that I could take you through just a little bit of the meditation practice. Longer than our normal time, but maybe not as long as some of you would like it to be. But remember to tune in to my Way of Meditation service every Sunday at Agape International. 6:45 a.m. begins with a reading and a prayer, and then I do a short Dharma talk. I teach about meditation, and then we practice. Every Sunday, 6:45 a.m. at agapelive.com. So thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. Other information will be in the show notes. Have a beautiful day. Peace and dynamic blessings. Many of you have written letters about how much you really appreciate the Take Back Your Mind podcast and the life questions. So appreciate those letters. Now, our particular program here, these episodes, it's powered by spiritual purpose, but it also has powerful sponsorship. The primary sponsor is Agape International Spiritual Center. So everything that goes on here, Agape is behind it. So what I want you to do, I want you to support the Take Back Your Mind podcast. Go to agapelive.com, make a donation, put a little indication that you're supporting the podcast in that donation, or text the word give to 424-321-6243. Write the word podcast so we know you're supporting this wonderful program of Take Back Your Mind. The secondary sponsor is Neuro-Rise. This is the company that actually produces my particular supplemental line called Adaptozen. I have the Super Greens, I have the Elevate fermented mushrooms, and a number of other products that are emerging. Just go to neuro-rise.com, find Adaptozen, and you know what? Uplift your spirit, uplift your body. Remember to share all of this with your friends and support our wonderful sponsor. Have a beautiful day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. If you want to submit a life question, please do so. Email us at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com, and perhaps one day I'll be answering your question that will touch the lives of so many. If you've enjoyed the show, you might as well submit a 5-star review. You might as well tell your friends and family. Let's spread the love. Until we meet again, maintain your awareness. Take back your mind. Because when you take back your mind, you take back your life. Peace and blessings.